I feel like I have taken losses throughout my whole adult life publicly. To be accused of steroids, people, you go from hero to zero immediately in some people's eyes. I've dealt with so much defeat already, and I feel like my career has been such a tremendous blessing already, and everything that I do in my career is just a cherry on top of something that's already been great. You know, if I were to retire today, they could say that kid truly, came, saw, and conquered. I look at losing as, at this point in my life, as Jon, you're already the greatest light heavyweight of all time. Now it's like, who are you? What do you stand for? What are you about? In what way are you innovative, trying to change the world for better? What are you doing? In my psychology, I've already retired that, and that UFC career is already on the shelf. And now I'm trying to focus on who am I as a person outside of that. I want life that's just so powerful and fulfilling outside of UFC, so that if I do come back, my idea would be that I am truly giving them a gift. This is not for me. This is, you guys have paid me enough to get me to come back, and this is for like the fans of the sport, but this isn't something that I need to do anymore. I'm at a place where I realize the responsibility that I have, the platform that I have, and I realize that people respect you way more for what can you do for others, for serving, than winning championships. Donating half your endorsement money to charities a month, and doing that type of stuff is like, I feel alive right now, dude. It's like, it makes you want to behave. It makes you want to keep that going. Behaving to be the champ, that's no pressure. People expect a world champion UFC fighter. I don't want people to get into my psychology too much while I'm still an active fighter. You know, I feel like if you're smart enough, you could listen to, I always say, if you want to know what's in a man's head, you just listen to what comes out of his mouth, and you'll start to get a true sense of what's going on in his head. When you have a negative thought, immediately cancel it with a positive thought. You know, instead of thinking of somebody beating your think of yourself exhausted, you're winning, fight's almost over, just think something positive. Fight night, I felt like I was going to get knocked out, and I felt like this was coming for me. I felt like energetically, like I was getting these signals from a higher power that, like, Jon, this is going to happen to you tonight. And I couldn't avoid it, so I just had this super deep prayer, and I touched my body from my head to my toe for the first time. And I prayed this prayer asking God to just give me these supernatural, like, reaction abilities, speed, flexibility, awareness. As I was praying this prayer and touching myself and rubbing myself and meaning every ounce of this, thinking my life is on the line, I noticed, looking at myself, that I was covered in feathers. I could see myself covered in, like, there was like small feathers in between my fingers, and I was covered in feathers, and they came up like to my neck, and my face was still like normal, not in feathers, but my hands and feet were covered. And I felt like I was like this fighting thing that wasn't earthly. Felt this surge of energy, power, flexibility, mental acuity and awareness and sharpness that I had never experienced before. And I like jumped off my knees and like landed on both feet immediately, and I was just like, woo! My coaches was looking at me like they could feel like, okay, he is pumped up. And Coach Winkle John's like, let's hit. And immediately I kicked the pad, and it was like, boom! And it was like, whoa! And like my kicks were lightning fast, and I didn't need to stretch anymore. I was jumping higher, I was kicking faster and higher. It was an unbelievable experience, and I actually was able to hang on to this feeling and this illusion of myself being in this alter ego all the way through the cage, all the way through my walk to the cage. So something just said, get on your knees and crawl up to him. And then automatically the dream voids itself of him knocking you out immediately, right? So I did that, and I got to kind of, I don't know, fight in an alter ego kind of state, and it was super powerful. I walked into that fight as this feather man for the first time, and my idea to crawl towards him was the only thing that hadn't happened in all my nightmares, right? Because in every fight I started on my feet. You get to this belief place that you are more than human at the moment, and then you believe that things, as far as just on every realm, are not designed to go against you at this moment. This is, you're actually living in your actual purpose at this moment. This was exactly what you're designed and born to. You don't appreciate people reaching out to you that you haven't spoke to in a year, or several months, and then they're useless. It annoys me on fight day. Say something powerful, impactful. Say, give me a quote, give me a scripture, give me something that's gonna, like, I can pull from later on tonight. Don't say kick his, because me reading that 1,000 times today is not helping. I think that's what people are starting to learn to do, because I'm starting to not reply right before the fight, and I'm starting to get people get clever enough to write me a whole month later after a fight. They say, hey, you know, I see that you won a fight last month. I'm imagining things are finally starting to calm down for you. I wanted to reach out to you and tell you that I'm so happy for you. I'm a very laid back, peaceful, chill dude. You know, I never get confrontational. I don't even like to argue. So anytime I get that feeling of anger, it's usually in a UFC situation. So I haven't been in a street fight since Daniel Cormier. I don't get in arguments, face-to-face confrontations like this. The goal is to be a main event guy for the rest of my career. That's the goal. I think that I will, when I do get into acting, I would want to do it wholeheartedly. I would like to take like a movie role, like sometime soon, just to try, like being an extra or having a small role, like I was just saying. But to actually pursue it full time is when I think I'll get into that when I retire. I want to hire an acting coach. You don't want your opponents to know. Because a hater is a person that is emotionally involved. They care. And right now, though, honestly, being involved with the CARE project and being detached from UFC and trolls and all that type of stuff, this is motivating me way more than a world championship fight. I mean, I've been winning title fights for so long now. I get what that feels like. I know what the after party feels like. I know what it feels like to be called champ. Changing my life and giving back to other people and having people say thanks for what you did for the city last night and stuff like that. My neighbors look at me like a person that they're incredibly proud to be neighbors with. That means so much more to me than being a UFC champion. It was better to leave my legacy behind for a while. You know, I'm still 32 years old, and every time I fight, I'm taking such a risk. I think it's really powerful when you stand up for what you believe is right, and I think that eventually the UFC will realize that I have the voice and the platform to make change. Most of the guys who are doing the absolute worst are not in a position that they could say publicly, I have a second job, I'm borrowing money from my parents. My goal is to get out while I'm still undefeated, but my goal is also to risk it all for my last few fights.